Tulsi Gabbard. She quit the Democrat Party today and did it in spectacular fashion. The former Democrat Congresswoman from Hawaii is now an independent and I believe could very well be a future running mate for Donald Trump. All right, so she quit on the first episode of her new podcast. Take a look.
Now, I love our country. Our God-given rights of freedom, life, and liberty that are enshrined in our Constitution and Bill of Rights are what inspires me.
All right, she's just warming up. You realize, though, that statement about the Constitution, a reverence for our Bill of Rights, how this makes her persona non grata in the Democrat Party? This is radical stuff for them, and I love it.
I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party. It's now under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers driven by cowardly wokeness, who divide us by racializing every issue and stoking anti-white racism, who actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms enshrined in our Constitution, and who are hostile to people of faith and spirituality, who demonize the police, who protect criminals at the expense of law-abiding Americans, who believe in open borders, who weaponize the national security state to go after their political opponents, and above all, are dragging us ever closer to nuclear war.
You know what I would love to see? Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, try to refute any of this stuff, any of it. They can't. Not only they can't, they're just not capable, but she is right. Next.
President Biden and Democratic Party elites have pushed us to the precipice of nuclear war, risking starting World War III and destroying the world as we know it. This is the most urgent and existential threat that we face. Now, I ran for president in 2020 because I knew that this is where we were headed. All the signs were there. I raised this issue every single day during the campaign and on the national debate stage. For those of you who may have come to a town hall or who were watching, I'm sure you noticed. But the politicians and the media completely ignored it. They didn't care then, and they don't care now.
So I did notice, but yeah, I didn't really take it quite seriously. Nuclear war, we don't have to worry about that anymore. Look at where we are. Putin warning the world that he is intending, he will, if forced to, use tactical nuclear weapons in Europe. Joe Biden shooting his mouth off, talking about Armageddon. And I'll point out that Tulsi Gabbard was covered extensively on Newsmax. She didn't get all the coverage she deserved on other networks, but she was front and center on Newsmax back in 2019 and 2020. There is more, though.
Today's Democratic Party rejects the rule of law. What does that mean? The people's trust, our trust in the rule of law, is the foundation of our democracy. And by weaponizing the security state and federal law enforcement for their own partisan political ambitions, Democrat leaders are undermining the rule of law and turning our democracy into a banana republic. Now, across the country, we see a lot of examples of this. We see Democrat politicians calling for defunding the police, demonizing the police, and enacting laws that favor criminals' rights over those of everyday Americans.
Tulsi is right. And here's the proof. Here's all the proof you need. The Axeman, who went on a rampage in a McDonald's in Manhattan, was out of jail within hours. Out of jail within hours. Threatening people, damaging, going on a rampage through a McDonald's with an axe. And he's already a free man. Now, Tulsi Gabbard happens to be pro-choice, but she respects those of us who are pro-life. And I really, really appreciate her stance here. Take a look.
Now, under the Obama administration, the IRS was used to target conservative groups. Now, Biden's Department of Justice recently indicted 11 pro-life activists for organizing an event blockading an abortion clinic. That's what they were charged with. They didn't use physical force. They weren't dangerous. But 7 of those 11, they're facing 11 years in prison and fines of $250,000. I want to say that again. 7 of these pro-life protesters are facing 11 years in prison and fines of $250,000.
Do you hear this? This is America. This is what America should be. She is supporting those she disagrees with politically. It used to be what we're all about. Now it's incredibly refreshing to hear somebody who used to be on the other side, I guess. She's an independent. Those people she's talking about, here they are. They were just standing outside of an abortion clinic. They weren't burning anything down. They weren't breaking things. And she's right. They face serious, serious jail time. We'll see what happens. But that is America. She is supporting people she disagrees with politically. I love it. I love it. And you know what? How about this for a critique of Joe Biden's hate speech last summer?
President Biden campaigned on a message of unity, healing the partisan divide, bringing the country together. But he just gave a big speech saying that supporters of President Trump are the most extremist group in our country and a threat to our democracy. That's half the country.
He absolutely did that. And there was a debate about it for what, 12 hours, 24 hours? Remember that speech in front of the Marines? He was so angry. It was the worst thing I ever saw. People on MSNBC said this was great. What are they thinking? She's right. He basically tried to cancel half the country. It's insanity. And I'm just so pleased we're hearing this. Aren't you? All right, a couple more.
Now you've got Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris. They are proclaiming that the Supreme Court is illegitimate just because they disagree with its rulings. They're undermining the legitimacy of the Supreme Court given their position of power in making these statements. We've got the Biden administration that stood by and did absolutely nothing as activists protested outside the homes of Supreme Court justices during all hours of the day and night in clear violation of federal law. Now go back and look again. How did the Biden administration treat those pro-life, nonviolent protesters? And look at how they treated those who were protesting outside the homes, their families and children of these Supreme Court justices live. When the party in power does not believe in the rule of law, but they're responsible for writing and enforcing laws, our democracy is doomed.
And let's go back and look, all right? Let's go back and look side by side. Those peaceful people right outside the abortion clinic, not harming anything, and those on the right outside Justice Kavanaugh's house. I mean, the total lawlessness, which, oh, by the way, specifically, yes, she's right, it broke federal law. And what about Liz Warren having a nervous breakdown? I mean, talk about trying to incite something. What was she up to? This is great, and this could be a total game changer. I really think so. I think this could be a very special partnership with you-know-who. All right, couple more.
Fostering diversity of thought and freedom of expression is the very foundation of any flourishing democracy. Democratic Party leaders don't agree. They are led by fanatical ideologues who pose a threat to our democracy because they don't believe in freedom. They don't believe in freedom of speech. They don't believe in freedom of thought, freedom of religion. Because of that, they try to censor speech that they don't like, labeling it as, hey, this is misinformation, this is hate speech, this is violent speech. And they are working hand in glove with corporate for-profit media and big tech to smear and silence political opponents and anyone who dares to challenge their authority, their narrative, and therefore exposing their insecurities.
She's nailing it. Again, she had no home in the Democrat Party with this point of view. I hope Democrats are looking at her and taking notes, because they should be ashamed that they went along with all the stuff that she is now fleeing, walking away from. That's better. All right. What about religious freedoms, freedom of religion?
That the Democratic Party of today has forgotten that freedom of religion does not mean freedom from religion. Our government must respect every American's deeply personal relationship with God and our freedom to express that and practice that faith without fear of state-sponsored reprisal or punishment, censorship, or discrimination. Now, whether you believe in God or not isn't the point here. The point is that any political party that is trying to erase the presence of God from every facet of public life and is hostile towards those who choose to worship God cannot be trusted to protect our inalienable God-given rights enshrined in the Constitution, and therefore should not be in power.
She's got guts, she's got smart, she's got intelligence. I like it. I like it a lot. And you know what? She ran for president once before, as she mentioned. It was in 2019, 2020. She frustrated the hell out of those Democrats, especially at one point, Kamala Harris. I thought Kamala Harris, she was so disgusted with her. That's when I realized, started to realize this could be a real political star. Now, what do you say? Look, a lot of what we heard her say, we hear from Trump at these rallies, and it's great, okay? But let's face it, she has a different style. I'm just saying the two of these people together, and for those of you who are pro-life like me, remember what Dobbs said, that ruling. It's up to the states now. It is up to the states. I think there's something here. Who knows? It could be incredible. Let's stay tuned. In the meantime, we got some other things to worry about. 4 weeks from today, the midterms. We've got 4 weeks left. I hope you are giving money to your preferred candidates and getting on the phone with 100 or so people you know and getting them out to the polls. It's looking very good, I believe, for a takeover by the Republicans. It's close right now. Just about every political expert thinks that the House is easy, almost easy for the Republicans. Can't take anything for granted. And the United States Senate, very much within striking distance. Most experts think advantage Republicans. And right now, you know what's going on in Ukraine. The fighting, it's getting intense all over again. Never forget that this is Joe Biden's responsibility. You know our handy-dandy little acronym here, liberal plus chaos equals Biden. What is the A in liberal for? Afghanistan, everybody, Afghanistan. Because we will never forget, and the world will never forget, our horrible loss in Afghanistan when we left. It was just, I remember when I saw this footage on the left, I thought I was dreaming. You know who was watching? Vladimir Putin, very, very closely. And he took the measure of the man back in Geneva a few months earlier. There's Joe, all smiles, and he's all giddy. But Putin, not so much. He realized that his adversary was weak. And if he was going to make a move, this was the time to do it. Remember, Joe Biden essentially threw up his hands, right?
I'm not so sure he is certain what he's going to do. My guess is he will move in. He has to do something.
That's a green light. That was a green light for the invasion. And once he invaded, we got really tough with the sanctions. But for some reason, Joe Biden couldn't stop laughing.
I'm also sending to Congress a comprehensive package of that will enhance our underlying effort to accommodate the Russian oligarchs and make sure we take their ill-begotten gains. We're going to accommodate them. We're going to seize their yachts, their luxury homes, and other ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. Kleptocracy and the guys who are the kleptocracies. But these are bad guys.
Not funny. Not funny. That's why an overwhelming percentage of Americans agree with this statement. Let's take a look at it, please. Putin would not have invaded if Trump were president. 62% of the American people agree with that statement. And you know, with Joe Biden, look, he's advanced in years, he was never that smart, and he's got all kinds of other distractions. Have you heard this voicemail? I'm sympathetic. He's talking to his son, Hunter, back in 2018, 2019 or so, about his drug problem. And it's a serious problem, and it's something that families have to deal with.
It's Dad. I called to tell you I love you. I love you more than the whole world, pal. I gotta get some help. I don't know what to do. I know you don't either, but I'm here no matter what you need. Really what you need. I love you.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful message, actually. But what do you do in that scenario? You don't run for president. If your family is falling apart, and by the way, there are lots of other people who could have been president, right? Remember all those Democrats? Joe was, he just wasn't, it wasn't that critical that it be Joe Biden. I mean, they had options. Why Joe? Anything that's special about him? Drug-addicted son, involved in corrupt activities most likely, that could very well involve him.
Hey, Palace Dad, it's 8:15 on Wednesday night. If you get a chance, give me a call. Nothing urgent. Just want to talk to you. I thought the article, at least the thing online, it's going to be printed tomorrow in the Times, was good. I think it's clear. And anyway, if you get a chance, give me a call. I love you.
Clear. You're in the clear. This is the language of gangsters. In the clear. Let's break that down, okay? What does it actually mean? Deemed innocent or able to avoid blame for some crime or misdeed. It suggests that they actually did something. I think it's really bad for them and for the country. And you're not in the clear. Hey, stay with us. Lee Zeldin. They've come at him with knives. They've come at him with guns. Next, it's going to be a tank. He's running for governor, and boy, oh boy, we need him in New York. We'll be right back.